So shortly after I was first diagnosed, I went to my very first support group meeting and I met a young woman. She was 44 years old. She was diagnosed with stage 3C ovarian cancer. I'm not sure what her subtype was, because unfortunately I knew nothing of subtypes back then. Um, but her story was very similar to mine in terms of uh, pathway to diagnosis. So she started with vague symptoms and went through the surgery, complete hysterectomy. She was very similar in terms of start time. So she was just finishing her chemo as I was just starting. So she was a great resource for me, and she was just such a lovely person. It was so amazing. Um, and she was sort of my go-to in terms of following my own journey. So I knew what to expect from her, and she was very helpful in that regards. Um, One day she was at the meeting and she was talking about how positive she was feeling and that she was feeling so much better, and she was finally starting to come around in terms of less fatigue and less illness from the chemo. And then she wasn't at the next meeting. Um, and then it was like, oh, well, maybe she just had another appointment or something and she couldn't come. And then at the following meeting, we got news that she had passed away. And it hit me, it sucker punched me because she was doing fine. She was great. And then all of a sudden she was just gone. Uh, so like within a span of 6 weeks, she was happy and doing well, and then she was gone. And I just couldn't believe that that had happened. And I have still don't know um, like how it progressed so quickly, but apparently they discovered that it had metastasized to her liver. But then it was just still 6 weeks, and she had a young family, and it was just heartbreaking. And that was my first experience with death and ovarian cancer. And uh, I just didn't know how to handle it at the time. But thankfully, I was in one of my support group meetings, and it helped. It helped a lot. But it was, I went home that night and I cried, I think, for 3 days. And I still get very anxious when I talk about her because it was just so close to my own story. And I worry all the time because of it. And then I've met some of the lovely women at through patient partners, and they talk about how many times that they've gone through it, and yet they still get up and are still kicking and screaming, and they will probably stay kicking and screaming the entire way. And then some of those ones that we have lost recently, who they've made their contributions so known in our group. Um, I think I got to meet two of them virtually, but only for very short times. But I could still feel their loss. And every time we lose somebody, it's that sucker punch again. And it's heartbreaking. I don't want to lose anybody else. I've had enough of that. So I'll keep fighting until we don't have those same outcomes, until we can say our prognosis is good. So it's not going to be the number one killer of women or the number two killer of women, or yeah, until that happens, I'm going to keep going.